Hey, Paso, everybody.
What's up?
How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't complain. As you can tell, um, if you don't know, now you know. This is the brand new duo. Can nobody mess with us? Just letting you know right now.
Oh,
This is the CJ podcast with your host, Mr. James, and the beautiful and the lovely C of the group, Carla. How are you, Carla?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing okay. I can't complain. My last 24 hours was kind of crazy, but we'll talk about that later. But at first, before we get to moving in anything and start laying down all the paths that we're going to create, I want the people to kind of know who we are and what we do and what we don't do. So I'm going to give you the floor. Just introduce yourself to the people, let them know who you are and what you're all about.
Hey, everybody. I'm Carla Ephraim, and I am a school counselor by profession. I've done a lot of social work or management work in my life. And I'm from the Bronx. I hail from the great borough in New York City. However, right now I'm living in St. Petersburg, Florida. It was a weather decision, it was a quality of life decision, but I always love the Bronx. And that is kind of sort of where I met James, really in Harlem, but we spent more time in the Bronx. And I'm looking forward to doing this podcast and just sharing my views and hearing from you guys. Let's see what happens. Oh yeah, I'm supposed to talk about the last 24 hours.
Yeah, what was your last 24 hours like?
Let's go backwards. The rat race that is getting ready for this recording. That was interesting. I took my time last night before going to bed and I wrote an itinerary for my day. And from the beginning, I woke up early, but everything that I planned to do before this recording kind of went left. But it's all right. I'm here and I look awesome, so I'm not even mad.
Ooh,
Um,
wee.
I slept good. That was a positive. Yesterday, what did I do? I did some spring cleaning. I spent time in my closet. One thing to know, I do love clothes. So I spent some time in my closet pulling out things I haven't worn, probably in the year, almost 2 years that I've lived here in Florida. Gonna get rid of some of that stuff. And I cleaned my bathroom. Just some basic spring cleaning kind of stuff. Took care of some business. Lots of binge watching worthy shows kept me company. But for the most part, I spent yesterday cleaning. That was the bulk of my day.
Listen, I can tell you one thing. Cleaning is a very difficult thing to do, especially if you're doing it by yourself.
Yeah.
So I commend you for that. Mine's went a little different. First of all, what's up, everybody? I'm from the great state of the borough of Brooklyn. Yes, it is a state, and yes, it is a borough. Because it's a different kind of place when you in Brooklyn, but it's also a different kind of place when you in Coney Island. That's where I'm from. Coney Island is a place where I was born and bred. I can tell you right now, it's not a place you want to be uh, at night unless you got the pass from somebody. Um, I was born in Coney Island once again. Um, Spent a lot of time in Harlem, like Carla said. We spent a lot of time in Harlem. We used to be a part of a group. Well, not used to. We probably still are, but it's on hiatus for about four and a
Yeah.
half 5 years.
Yeah.
But
Make me want
it is what it is. But also because what Carla said, I had to make a life decision. I decided that I was going to leave friends and family and go to school, and I went and did that, and it came out to be successful. Um, I'm now a teacher at a parochial school, teaching elementary classes, um, and yeah, I got four kids, and I still look great.
it.
I got a 17-year-old, 15-year-old, and almost 2 year olds. Um,
Wow. Wow.
yeah, it's crazy, bro. Every time I think about
Wow.
it, I still can't believe it. Um, yeah, just
When you said I got 4 kids, I was like a little shocked too. Like, wait a minute.
My own friend doesn't even know I have 4 kids. That's how good I am.
We don't say it out loud.
Oh my gosh. Nah,
It is.
but yeah, man, 4 kids, bro. That's a lot of people. But yeah, so I'm down in the Virginia area. I hate every minute of it.
Oh,
I don't
no.
care if you're from Virginia, you can fight me on that. There's nothing to do out here, unless you want to go see a whole bunch of slave stuff. Yeah, Virginia is the birthplace of slavery, so
Mm.
I'll give you guys a point for that. There are no teams to watch. I'm not into college, so I don't really care about VCU or VSU or VWV. And these are all college names that I hope I got right, because more than likely I didn't. But yeah, that's me in a nutshell. My last 24 hours was absolutely crazy. I had to prepare myself for a sleep study. Supposedly, according to the people, I got sleep apnea, and I had to go in for a sleep study. And you know, I don't know if I should say this on the first one, but it still feels weird getting undressed in front of a woman and like nothing happening after.
Oh.
It's a weird feeling. It's like I think only men kind of understand that. But this woman came in and was like, well, what are you gonna sleep in? And I was like, well, I'm gonna sleep in my, in my pants and my shirt. And she was like, oh well, I mean, I gotta get these leads on you, and one of them has to go down to your calf. And I'm like, okay, I mean, like, so what are you saying? Like, am I gonna get a gown? Like, what's going on here? Like, no, it's no gown. Like, you're gonna go to sleep. And I'm like, oh, yeah, I said, okay. I stepped into the bathroom, didn't even close the door, turn the light on, because I'm just gonna take my pants off. I'm like, I'm gonna sleep with my shirt on. And she's like, okay, you want to sleep with your shirt on? That's fine. But and then my feet were looking crazy. I didn't put no lotion on my feet.
It's okay. You went there to sleep.
Yeah, I went there to sleep. You're right. And then, but it was just a weird. And then it was weird. I had the mask on. It was very uncomfortable. It wasn't something that I really enjoyed at all. It was something that kind of made my skin kind of like, like feel weird. I felt like I was suffocating. I didn't feel good at all. And it was to the point where it's like my body was like, you're gonna go to sleep because you got nothing else to do. Mm-hmm. And that's pretty much what happened. And she woke me up, got me cleaned off, had to take the stuff out of my hair because they had to put the leads in my head, on my chest, on my back, on my legs, on my side of my face, on my jaw, on my neck. I mean, it was everywhere. But it was weird. I came home and wound up sleeping for another 2 more hours. And that was the best sleep I had for the whole night. Yeah, so go figure. But that was my last 24 hours, man. It was absolutely insane. I thought that it would be a lot easier for me to kind of like sleep that way, because that's what I've been told. That, the sleep study, once you get it done, you're gonna feel great, blah blah blah. I didn't feel good at all.
Interesting, very well. I had the pleasure of seeing just a little bit of these leads coming off of your body, and it was very weird. You looked like they were going to put you in like sci-fi movies.
I looked like I was gonna get electrocuted, yo.
Store you in a pod or something. Like, it looked crazy.
I was looking like, and then on top of that, like when you had to go to the bathroom, she had to come in and unlock the I guess the thing that was connected to this box that was connected to a machine, and literally she had to like wrap the wires in a ponytail and plug them in the box, and then give me a shoulder strap to walk the wires into. I'm like, this is retarded. How is this possibly possible? But whatever, they know what they're doing. So
that's what they say.
Exactly, that's what they say.
Most people that I know that have done one, they find out things that they should know. And I was one of the people that got to see, your apnea in action on a nap, and I was like, yeah, something ain't right. So hopefully this
hopefully something
positive changes. That's the goal.
Exactly, that's the goal.
So, but that's wild. That's wild.
It was, and then on top of that, like just not really being able to eat. I didn't eat anything at night. Usually I'm a well, who isn't a night snacker?
Mm.
So there was no snacks there. All I had was pretty much juice and water,
Mhm.
and I got some juice and water, and that was pretty much it. But it was what it was. It was different, but it was necessary. Hopefully, I get the results back and figure out what to do. But I tell you this, boy, I'm not built to put a mask on at night. I don't care what anybody says. I can't sleep like that. I got to be able to.
Understood.
I feel like I need to be able to sleep like a regular person, and I felt like I was like under a microscope sleeping with that mask on.
Mm.
It just felt really weird. But anyway, we off that. That was my last 24 hours, folks. By the way, this show is sponsored by Be Kind.
Be kind.
It's the clothing brand that I'm putting together that all it wants to do is spread the word be kind. I think that it's time for people to start being nice to people, start being nice to others, people around you. And there's no reason why you should hate on somebody else. Usually, if somebody else is succeeding around you, more than likely you're liable to succeed too. So be kind to everybody. Everybody be kind. All right, Carla, we got our first topic, and it's off the beaten path, of course, because you know me.
Already.
There was a school shooting.
Mm.
There were 9 people who got killed. This is the 120th plus mass school shooting since the year started.
What? Like 2023?
2023. If it's not the 120th mass shooting, it's
you gotta get that stat right. I need to know now.
Well, somebody fact check me.
I'm gonna look it up because I want to know.
It's redonkulous out there. The girl came in looking like she's from GTA. She shot the doors out the school, crept into the school, looking for people to kill. She finding out these kids was in a particular area, shot up this circle of kids and all that stuff or whatever, killed little babies. And then the chick wound up dying, unfortunately. And she was I guess her body will be handled by whomever her handlers are. But I'm sick and tired of this this idea of school shootings. Matter of fact, I'm kind of sick and tired of people shooting places where other people like to be. I think that I'm not about gun reform because I don't know anything about that kind of stuff. I just know about common sense stuff. I know you need a license for a dog, right? I know you need a license for a car. I definitely know you need a library card to take out books. But the fact that the only thing that you would have to do to get a gun in America is to fill out an application and they fake run it so that way they can just get your money, so that way they can give you a gun, is really out of line. I don't know why I should be able to go to Walmart and buy eggs, bacon, bagels, and a Glock all in the same store. I don't understand why it's possible for people to be able to buy guns, and we don't even live, most of us live in civilized areas. I mean, wouldn't you agree? So what is the purpose for you to have a gun that fires automatically, right, with more bullets than anybody would really need in real life? Not even people who come home from the army have the kind of guns that these people are being able to purchase. Why is that? What are your feelings on that? I can't take it no more.
It's too much. Well, if we get back to the shooting, I just think it's unfortunate that there are multiple people who think that this is the best way to make a point or address their feelings about something. It's just really sad. There's so many other ways to do things. But to your point about not going places where people are, whether it's a school or a public place, it's just, where do you get that from?
Right.
Me coming from a psychology counseling background, I get some of the psychological challenges that people are having, but usually, obviously, the ones that are diagnosed, the ones that have been treated or at least have been studied. I don't know. Unfortunately, we can't study this young lady because she's gone.
Right.
I'm not really sure if they're going to look into the biological, psychological effects that could have been going on. I don't know if, her body was in order for that, but like something has to be wrong for you to say, hey, I'm going to attack little children who can't defend themselves.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I'm on abcnews.go.com. There have been 146. I was wrong. 146 shootings, mass shootings so far this year. More mass shootings than we have days since the year started.
That's
Now you go explain
scary.
that to me.
I don't have an explanation. I just had a conversation with a school safety officer that I've made the acquaintance of, and he's just like, guns are not scary. They are what they are. They do what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that have them that
Right.
are scary because you just don't know people's motives. And a lot of times, by the time you figure it out, it's a little bit too late.
It's too late.
So 100 and what?
146 right there. There have been more mass shootings than days in 2023, database shows.
Is that normal? Can we go back into previous years and find out if this is like we could look at that later, but like,
I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And the weird thing about it is that, like, they flaunt around this whole idea of Second Amendment. I got the right to have a gun. Well, yeah, but you had a right to have a gun when we didn't have an organized military. Are you going to fight the Germans that come across the seas and then go ahead and put your life on the line to keep back the enemies that come into your little town or your little square? That's what
honestly,
it was for.
I think there are people that are thinking like that. And
for
me, that's a psychological thing too. But there might be a group of people that they're ready.
You're right. And you probably should be ready. Like, those are the ones I want on the front line because you'll probably, kill at least 5 of them.
They ready to go.
Exactly. Like, you go ahead and go first. But what I'm saying is that, like, when those laws were implemented, they were implemented for the simple reason, the fact that we didn't have an organized military. Mm-hmm. We didn't have drones and lasers and rockets and fighter jets and boats in the seas and men on the ground. We didn't have that when this law was implemented. When this was given to us as a right, it was given to us so that we can protect freedom. What are these little kids doing that is impeding your freedom?
I don't think they were doing anything. I just think that there was something, or there is something really wrong with people who have made the decision to hurt children to make a point, and two, the ones that are thinking about it. Because at 146, how many more are we going to be looking at? I mean, I know all of those weren't against children, but just the fact that the idea came and it was followed through, it's a little scary. We talk about terrorists. I don't think half of these shootings were terrorist related. I think these are just troubled people that are dangerous.
But once again, what does that do?
Armed and dangerous.
Now, but what does that do for like the way we deal with these people? Like, should they? Oh God, I hate because I've already, because I know your heart. I know what you're gonna say, and I'm already not gonna like it.
Don't assume you know what I'm gonna say.
This is our first argument. I feel it already in my bones. Do you think these people should go to jail, or do you think they need to be rehabilitated?
I think both of those things are necessary. Our judicial system dictates punishment is necessary, and I think these people should be punished because not only did you make a plan, you executed the plan, you hurt people, so you need to pay for that. As a part of you paying for that, at some point we do need to rehabilitate you. We need to talk about why you made the decision. Was there a chemical imbalance? Were you just strangely psychotic, and this was what came out of it. Like, I would like to know. I genuinely believe that even our current system needs space for both punishment and rehabilitation for all.
Very well put. Very well put.
See, you didn't know what I was gonna say.
I didn't, man. And you know, you scared me for a little bit because I'm like, I said, all right, cool. All right, look, so we're gonna bounce out of that topic. That was a pretty good topic. That was pretty good for our first one, right?
Word. That was a lot. You came out the gate. I was like, wait, that wasn't in my notes.
It's a lot for a little bit. Now here we go. You ready for this one?
No.
Last month we celebrated Women's History Month, and there was a lot of argument about women's history and women making strides for America and for their cause and it's not his story, it's her story. But you know, it is what it is.
Let me jump in. Your energy is already off. Okay.
Because, bro,
don't worry.
So
if we're gonna go into history, right?
Yes.
Think about the role that women had, historically speaking.
Yes.
That alone is a reason for women to stand up and be feminist and we need to change it to her story. We went from not having a voice, being invisible, even in religious books, we were invisible. Women were invisible. We had two roles: to make babies and take care of the home. That was it.
Very true.
Somewhere along the line, somebody said we deserve to vote. Somewhere else, people said, oh, women can work too. Why? Because all the men went to war. Y'all needed us. Whenever you need us, now we gain a new role. We just keep gaining new roles because the men have need of us. Mm-hmm. So now the women are saying, we cutting all of that out.
Yes.
It's not you dictating when we matter. We're saying we matter in all conversations, in all decision making, in all workspaces. We matter. Yes. Our voice, our contribution, it matters now. We're trying to undo the thought process behind our history. We're making our story.
You know what? I 100% agree with you. You know, the reason why I did that was because, you know, I'm a firm believer on like making your own waves. I really am. I just don't, and we'll probably talk about this later because it may blend in somewhat sort of, but you know, I like when to go off topic really quick. I like the fact that these little young girls from LSU are trash talking. Why? Because it's not the way the guys would do it. It's the way the girls would do it. I don't want a girl walking up to me trying to be a dude because it's been done already in the past. Like, just be you. Be authentically you. Be who you are meant to be, and then make your own path. You know, it doesn't have to be changed to her story. History is history. Like when you try to make divisions like that, then it shows. Man, I'm gonna get beat up on this live.
Go ahead and say it.
It shows the pettiness. I'm not getting 100.
It is what it is, baby. It's every system in this place we call America was based off of some type of bias, whether it was against race, gender, socioeconomic status. There was all bias in the beginnings. Am I going to go hard for a word, her story versus his story? No, I'm not. Most of the English language is trash. So, like,
now you're getting real deep.
Personally, I'm not going to debate the his versus her. There's masculine energy in a lot of our language, period.
Right.
That's not important to me. Those of you who fighting it, go on ahead, do what you got to do. But that's not mine.
There you go. And that's what I mean. Really, like, I wish I could have said it like you. That was better than what I said, I think. But that's what I'm trying to say. Like, let's leave. Well, let me watch what I say because the past is crucially important. But let's leave the ideas or thoughts, the negative ideas and thoughts that would hinder you in the past, reminding ourselves of those things, but not holding on to those things or pulling them across the finish line and using that as a springboard to go to another place. Like, let's be mindful of the fact that, like, we understood what women had to go through and it was horrible. And now that things are changing, we can't forget that it was horrible. But now we shouldn't be taking that with us to 2023 and saying, well, because things were so bad and horrible for us, look at what we had to go through. Now give us something. No, it's like, no, you see how you played us? Look at how we moved up. You see where we are now? We're not going back there. We're not going back to what you thought it was going to be. We're going to continue to elevate.
I got a question.
Sure.
Does that exact same ideal apply to racism? Apply to slavery?
You're
going to make me get in trouble. But yes,
I want you to say your thoughts,
yes,
sir, because I'm hearing something.
Yes, it should. And I'm going to defend my point. Are you ready for this?
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Somebody said, and I'm not going to say who said it. Somebody said on a podcast before this one, obviously, that the reason why most people in Africa don't even understand or can't really blend or mend or understand the plight of the African American is because they can trace their history back thousands of years. And the reason why they can not get over, because that's not what I'm going to use, but because they can leave it aside, still remembering, but leave it aside and not use it as a thrust, but leave it aside because they can trace their lineage back. The reason why we can only go as far back as slavery is because that's as far back as we can go. We can't go no further back than the slave trade. We can't go no further back than those ships that brought us over here. Matter of fact, a lot of us were born in this country due to the ones that made it here. So there were a lot of family lines that never made it over this country. So now,
on the way, they killed themselves.
Exactly.
One got dropped off in the Caribbean.
Exactly. So, like, you have to understand, like, the only reason why every February we can only go as far back as the slave trade or the slave period is because there's no connection between African Americans and Africa. We took the name or adopted the name in the 60s and 70s because we were tired of being called Negro or colored. So we associated ourselves with our original,
the origin story we know.
The origin of our original story, thank you, which is from Africa. And we adopted African American. But we was born in the 60s, 70s, or the 80s, or the 90s. We're not African American anymore.
Right.
We're just American with African ties. You see the difference? So now my African tie-ness can make me or give me a boost, or it can make me remember where I came from. There's a difference when you grow up. When you grow up and you get older, the first thing you want to do is wait. You want to make money. You want a great career. You want a husband. You want some kids. And you want to live comfortably, right? Nobody ever says they want to get older. They want to make money. They want to have a kid. They want to live in the ghetto. And they don't want to move out their mother's house. Nobody says that. Everybody exactly. Everybody who grows in the way where it's always upward. You never see a person say, man, I used to be homeless, and man, I wish I was homeless again. You would never hear nobody say that.
With psychological
you must be psychologically wrong. We got to put you in the same hospital with the mass shooters. Because I've never heard of somebody who has millions. I've never heard Jeff Bezos say, man, I remember what it was like living in wherever it was I was living in. And I want to go back to that time when I didn't have nothing. Nobody says that. It's all about moving forward. So I'm not saying forget, because you can't forget where you came from. But you don't have to use it as a paintbrush to get people to step and fetch or to follow behind you because of what people did to you. After a while, you have to remember that you're the one fighting the battle now. Your ancestors are no longer here.
Can Can
Yeah.
I pivot and ask another question?
Pivot.
Do you feel like that's what makes us different from the Jewish community? They didn't necessarily lose their lineage or access to the information.
See, the same thing with the Jewish community. If you think about the Jewish community, they were involved in the Holocaust, but they can still trace their lineage back. See, but then they do theirs in a more spiritual way. And that for them is beneficial for them because guess what? They go back to David. They go back to, well, rather it would really be Saul, but David. They go back to David and Solomon. They go back to Elijah and Elisha. They go back to the biblical things that made their religion or made them be who they are in terms of the Jewish nation. So for them, the Holocaust was just a bump in the road. They were accustomed to slavery since Israelites. They were accustomed since Moses' day, since Abraham's day, since Joseph's day. They were accustomed already to being slaves. When the people were created from Abram, don't get me started with this biblical stuff. When the people were created from Abram, and then we get to Joseph time, when Joseph finally let all the people come to Babylon, and they built Babylon like African Americans built America, it was the Pharaoh who was like, many years after, forgot why we got there. And was like, yo, these people are too great. Like, we need to keep them under wraps. If they knew their power, they might overthrow us. So now we can't have them get too far. Make them make straw without bricks. Don't let them worship on a certain day. The things that took place for the Israelites. So the Jewish nation is accustomed to hard work and slavery. So they took their name and they took their religion and they used their religion as a way of giving them solace. So they don't have to worry about going back to when granddaddy and great-great-granddaddy and great-great-great-granddaddy was alive. They go back to David and they say, we come from the lineage of David.
Do you think that was taken away from Africans who were brought into slavery?
Of course it was. And we were manipulated and we was given another religion.
Because I'm like, I would dare to say we had the same thing. But
we knew who Christ was. There was Ethiopians in the Bible. Matter of fact, let's not forget the whole Bible was written from Africa.
Yeah, I'm trying to get back to the thought process behind why we as people of Black people, if you will, African American or Black Americans, I'm Afro Caribbean American,
right? Right.
Why we don't necessarily know where we come from. We don't have access to our lineage. Like, what differed? Do you feel like the Jewish religion allowed them to have a closer connection? Because a lot of times when you speak about religion in Africa, there's so many different ones, and they're not necessarily tied biblically.
Right.
Generally speaking. Some maybe, but most of them, they talk about ancestors and the gods, and
exactly, and
that came from the continent, not necessarily from the slaves. So exactly. I'm like, what happened? What made us so different in our ability to reconnect with our religion or our belief system, as opposed to how seamless it seems like the Jewish community is able to do so?
Well, I mean, the best way to put it is the fact that, we weren't allowed to bring our religion with us. We weren't allowed to take our religion with us to this brand new country. When we got here, we were told that this is not your name. So that's not going to be the name you use anymore. We were told, you guys are married. All right, well, we're going to take the wife and we're going to move her to Carolina and we're going to take you and put you over in West Virginia. We're going to break up the family. Then you get to the point where religion is now being taught to you in a way where if you want to be free for a day, then you have to go to church. Now, what person wouldn't want to take that if you're working 8, 9, 10, 12 hours every single day? So now you have to accept a religion that's going to force you to believe that there is a God that you never knew about, and now you have to accept that God in order for you to be able to be free just for a couple hours a day. And then your children will know about this God, and your children's children will know about this God. And now you've developed a case where even if I wanted to go back to Africa, I'm going back to Africa with what? I'm going back with a Christian God.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming back to you with a God that's blonde hair and blue eyes.
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming to you with a Jesus that died on the cross, that saved all mankind, and he's forgiven the sins of the whole entire world. And you're looking at me and you're speaking to me from another language, a language that I've never heard before, a language that I can't even relate to, a language that if you were to speak to me in it and I speak to you in my language, we both wouldn't know what each other's talking about. But yet and still there's a good possibility we both either grew up or lived in this area at one point in time.
Mm-hmm.
So now we have a broken language, we have a broken family, we have a broken religion, and now we've had to adopt a brand new religion, a brand new language, and a brand new family. Not to mention, back there, or I should say back there, but in Africa, we had our own possessions. Where here, the master has the possessions. And the only thing we have is what the master allows us to have. So we came from a different, so I shouldn't say we. So there were generations of slaves that came after that even if they decided to go back right after emancipation to back to Africa, they would be lost in the world. They would have to literally start all over again because the people there wouldn't know who they are, and you wouldn't know where to go. And what would you start with? You have no money, you have no clothes, you have no, let's just say you got a plane ticket. I mean, a plane ticket. Let's say you got a bus ticket. Tag nabbit. Let's say you got a boat ticket to go back to Africa. Where you gonna go? Senegal, Ghana, Kenya, South Africa. Where you gonna go? Congo? You gonna go to Sahara? You gonna go to Egypt? Like, what part of Africa are you gonna go to?
I don't know. Most of the people say I look like I'm Ghanaian, so I'd start there. But this just keeps opening up more cultural questions for me, because now I think about the people from the Middle East who have been here all their lives, whether they were immigrants as children or, they came here as refugees and things happen over a lifetime, and then they get sent back to their country of origin, or even people comment, go back to your country, we don't want you here. And it's like they're just like other immigrants or people who were brought here in slavery, that are disconnected from that entire life, and they're facing the same kind of situation. I could even say that for some Hispanic countries and families, even Mexican children, they come here young, their family smuggles them into the country, however, for a better life, and they've given safe haven, and then it comes out as an adult that, hey, this is an illegal whoever, we got to send them back. What are we sending them back to? And we keep seeing it happen over and over with different groups, and it's like, are we a safe haven, or are we a tyrant that doesn't want anybody that we didn't welcome here? Like, what's going on with that? Conversation was intended to be, but this is why I enjoy talking to you, because you can help me tap into a lot of my questions.
It's cool, and I think that's the reason why we did it together, because we know that it's going to bring out the conversation, which is really what people want to hear. They want to hear a conversation. They don't want to hear nobody's opinion, at least sometimes anyway.
Right.
However, let's go back to this women thing.
Oh yeah, that's how this started.
So Piers Morgan during Women's Month came out with a video, and the man was talking to a lady who claimed to be a feminist and was for the rights of all women. Pretty much said that the lady said anybody can be or recognize themselves as a female. Piers Morgan then says, then why can I not raise my hand and say, I'm an African American lesbian? And the lady who was sitting across from him laughed because it was that funny. I wish I could play the video, but you'll get it. Piers Morgan, you'll see what it is. But literally, like the chick next to him laughed like super hard on the mic. And the lady was like, well, you're being, you're joking around, you're making it a joke. And he was like, no, like, I'm serious. If it was that easy for a woman to be able, or for anybody to stand up and say, I'm a woman, or I identify as a woman, why can I not identify as an African American lesbian?
So in thinking about that clip and listening to you in this moment, he overlapped two controversial topics. If he would have just said, why can't I say I'm a lesbian woman? He went so far as to say, why can't I say that I'm a African American lesbian?
Right.
He brought in something that was not really a part of the conversation. So if we take out him trying to change his race, which is not what the conversation was about, it was about him changing his gender. Sure, there's a valid point there. But I would have said he probably could have left the race out of it.
Well, I mean,
no one is saying that you have race fluidity, or you can not assign yourself to a particular race in such a public and general way. On forums, you're given the other option. Some of them tell you it's an option to even write anything, but you can choose to have a debate with somebody about your race or not. Like, you can walk away from that conversation, I feel like. And there's plenty of people who don't assign. I've seen a movie where a young lady did not assign herself as Black. She was raised by white people and she believed that she was white. And it took a lot of convincing for her to eventually understand her race. But getting back to the interview, it was bad. She probably was not the person they might have wanted to represent them in that conversation.
Right.
He didn't handle it very well at all. And Piers has his reputation, so she kind of knew what she was walking into.
But you know what? Even with the state of this conversation, it's like the question really still kind of remains like, why is it that? And here's where I'm going with it, because I see where he was going. Why are more people so confused about what a female is? I'm seeing more and more videos of people confused. That's only what I can use. Confused as to what makes a woman and what makes a man. For some reason, whatever makes a man is already cemented in stone. You already know you're a man because you have a penis. But for some reason, people with penises think they can be a girl because they're in transition and can identify themselves as a girl and don't see anything wrong with that. I have a problem with that. Why is there so much confusion behind what makes a woman and what makes a man? Can you help me?
I think your view is limited in that there's controversy on the other side too. People aren't talking about it, but it exists. There's plenty of individuals who are born and assigned to be female who are changing and would prefer to.
Did you say assigned?
That's the language, honey. Get with it.
We don't speak language in here. You either a boy or a girl. I think
it's happening on the other side. That's my opinion. It's just not coming to the forefront because some of the same dangers or concerns just haven't been brought to the public. It is unfortunate that this America that we live in is less invested in figuring out why there's so much confusion about gender but more invested in my uterus in terms of law making. Why aren't there more conversations about safeguarding me, a cisgender woman, from a transgender woman who still has a penis but wants to live in female housing, wants to play female sports, wants to be put in a female prison? Why isn't that a longer
Wants to use a female bathroom.
Right. They scrapped that. Some states have scrapped that. No gender bathroom. Just go in there, pee, and get out. We don't care how you do it.
If my daughter's in the bathroom,
I think we should have had a long conversation, because I just don't think my uterus should be that important to you. That's just me.
Well, I think vagina should be important to everybody. This is
something that affects a lot more people than me.
Well, I think your vagina, as well as everybody else's, should be held on a pedestal.
Right.
And I'm going to tell you why. Because
it can be held on a pedestal without making decisions for it.
Now, hold on a second now, dog. I'm trying to tell you exactly what I mean. It's the producer of life. And I don't think anybody without a vagina should be making decisions on people who have vaginas.
Word up.
Just like I think that nobody should have a right to tell what a man should do with his penis if you're not a penis holder. I think that we should be operating under the idea in the guise of understanding each other. Like you said, why can there not be a conversation to where people can say, you're a woman, what would you like to have done to your body? And let y'all figure it out. Because we're wasting time on the government level, representative level, and the state level on trying to find out whether or not we should have an abortion clinic here or not. Half of the people in these places that are making these rules and decisions are not going to an abortion clinic to begin with.
Right.
We all know where it started and why it started. It was to keep control of the Black population. But now that's been rearranged and turned around to a place where it can help all people, minorities or majorities. So where if they have low income or they can't find the help they need, they can go to these clinics and they can get the proper care they need in order for them to have a baby that will live. Why are we forcing people to go back to the 50s and the 40s to go get the coat hanger? And I'm not the one that's going to be doing it. Oh, by the way, a funny stat just came out. Are you ready for this one?
Go for it.
30 plus babies have died this year. Why? Because they are sleeping in the same bed as the mother. Sudden death baby syndrome.
Sudden death infant syndrome.
Infancy, you know what I mean, bro. 30 plus.
And we're in April. So now you have to understand, and I'm not saying that these women or people, these families, and God bless them. I pray that God, gives them the courage and the compassion and the bravery to get over the situation, because I can't even imagine losing one child at all. I have to go before they go. That's just the way it got to be. Right.
But imagine if one of those people, and by the way, they said the highest. This is what I love. Listen, I love my brain, by the way. We'll talk about that later. The highest elevation of these sudden infant, say it again.
Syndrome. Mm-hmm. Sudden infant death syndrome.
Sudden infant death syndrome. Okay, yeah. The SID, right, there you go. The reason why that's like that, because in lower income neighborhoods, people who have food deserts and lack of proper health care are losing more babies than other people in other places. Did you know that?
They losing them at the hospital, though.
Watch this. Exactly. But we're talking
Sometimes
about
babies lives and mama dies. It's
right.
It's a lot. You tapping into a big web, but
we're talking about SIDS though, and I know where you're going. Let me. I know.
Go back to SIDS.
So SIDS, right? And imagine now if that was probably the case of a person not being able to find a clinic that they can go to, ashamed of the baby, don't want people to know, trying to keep the baby quiet, don't understand why, don't understand the proper things to do, and don't have a clinic in their neighborhood, low income, of course, for them to go to. Why
Or
are we
too
making
ashamed to go to?
right? But even still, like, if you don't have a place to go to, is worse than you being ashamed of not being able to go to one, because at least somewhere in the back of your mind, you're like, yo, I don't know what to do. Let me go over there. And even if you get somebody to hold the kid while you go over there and find out some information, you know, you don't have to worry about nobody seeing you with a baby and nobody knows nothing. You walk in and walk out. But it's a shame that these places are being looked at or scrutinized for you not being able to have one because some dude is like, yo, once you get past a certain level, you got having a baby and shouldn't go to an abortion clinic. But you're not the one giving birth to the baby, my man. This is not a place
your
where
body
you
is not affected by it. You are not risking your life because
there it is.
Getting pregnant is a miracle in itself. Science will tell you that. There's so many things that your body is doing to reject sperm as a woman. Your body is doing the utmost to tell the sperm no. So for it to work, that was a miracle in itself. But when you get past the being pregnant, when you tapping into an abortion law that's saying, even if medically there is something wrong with this pregnancy, that the science that a lot of money and time has been invested in to say medically suggested abortions are also a no, that's a big slap in the face of all the people who have dedicated their lifetime service and spent tax-paying dollars or donated dollars to make those decisions. I don't think doctors, I think they make way more money if you have a baby than if they terminate a pregnancy, if we're going to bring it down to cost, right? So if a doctor is saying that this pregnancy could, one, harm the child or harm the mom, that's the basic oath that a doctor signs up for.
It's crazy.
So you're eliminating that whole area of science. You're saying, scrap that, all babies must live. I'm not even going to get into the ugly side of pregnancy when you're not choosing to have a child, someone is taking advantage of you, and this has happened to you, and the psychological ramifications behind that. I'm not even going to touch that. I'm just talking about you're telling a medical professional who has been taught that these are the appropriate signs to avoid this terminal end. But we're going to disregard that and say that your uterus is the property of the U.S. and we can make decisions for it. That's whack.
And then you can go even further than that to when these women do have babies. You've dealt with that with women when they had babies or whatever, they get, you know, beat up or they get kicked out of their place or no way to live or whatever, and now they're forced to live on the street with this child that they can't keep up with, and now they got to come to places that you used to work with.
For some of them, there's no emotional connection. You hope for it, you wish for it, but a lot of times these women end up angry because this child messed up their life, or ruined their life.
And then
there's no requirement to address that. So 2-3 days in the hospital, and here you go, take your baby home.
And then it's in a dumpster somewhere.
Right. It's just so many unaddressed conversations. And again, to your point earlier, the people who are making these decisions, majority, I want to say 99% of them have never been through anything remotely close to what these women or what women in general have had to go through. So it's just unfortunate.
You know what?
This is what we spend time talking about in a political space instead of why I have to go to an all-gender bathroom because y'all don't want to talk about someone who feels like they're a woman, but they were born a man and they have a penis.
And I can go one step further than that. I can almost guarantee you that 99.98% of the people that are trying to make these laws have never even been to a damn abortion clinic except for the access and votes. They've never been through the process of having to sit in those chairs and be scrutinized by people that come into that office that live in your community. They didn't have the ability to go to these doctors' offices and they checking you out and they're testing you for all different types of diseases or whatever and looking at you as if like you're supposed to have a disease. They didn't have to go through that stuff. They didn't have to go through, having to deal with subpar, living conditions and no money, no food. Hospitals look like, they've been out of a haunted house or museum somewhere. They didn't have to deal with that kind of stuff. They lived in a very prestigious life and more than likely had a place where they was able to go and have a healthy baby. The hospital probably gave them a nice little basket of things that they can have to go away with. And they drove to their picket fence house with their 3 cars in the driveway and had the nanny come and take the baby and put it in the nursery. We're not talking about the fact that like having a baby, just think about having a baby in New York right now, where you having a stroller living in a brownstone, having to walk up 3 flights with a stroller and a baby.
Don't go to the grocery store.
And don't go to the grocery store. Don't bring a Similac home because you're not buying a little can. You buying the big old Dookie cans, and how you gonna carry that?
Can and roll down the steps.
Come on, man!
All that powder gold.
They don't know what that's like. Having to go do laundry and having to take your kid from the 3rd floor to the 1st floor to go do laundry, and the machine's busted.
These are the same decision makers that don't want to touch the gun reform laws. They're not talking about that because they got their 16 guns. They ready to go if somebody attack their property.
Exactly,
It's
and not to mention
the things that you are choosing to spend time on and make laws about is kind of ridiculous when there's so much more controversial, more change that it matters to the majority of Americans.
You're right.
Rather than the things that they're choosing to focus on. And that's even before we get into my personal opinions about it. That's just on the surface. Like, why are we spending time on that?
And that's why
really could be focusing on this.
Right. And I mean, that's the reason why I think that women should be a lot more vocal on this area. Like, I don't think anybody should be able to come in and be able to say, I identify as a woman, when you don't have to go through the stuff that we got to go through. You don't have the pregnancy. You don't have the menstrual cycles. You don't have the hot flashes. You don't get a chance to, have to go through.
Listen, come take the cramps. Come take the baby. I wish you could have it.
Headaches and all that stuff or whatever.
I would give it to you.
Emotionally draining yourself. Like, women are so much more emotional than men are, and having to put your emotions into someone or something and it falls apart and you having to deal with that. Emotionally scarred, having to be silenced. Like you said earlier, having to have only 2 roles. It's cook food and make babies. Like, like women have been through so much, and it's almost like they just let the door open for them. Like, yeah, just come on in. You identify as a woman, sure, come on in. It's fine. At least that's what it looks like on the surface of it. Maybe there are more people out there fighting for the cause, but I haven't seen it, and I'm pretty sure a lot of other people haven't seen it. And if they really choose to really care about the women and femininity, being pro-woman, like, they need to stand up more. Like, I need to see more women standing up for the causes that women have to go through. They have to birth these babies. They got to care for these babies. They got to breastfeed these babies. They got to groom these babies. They got to treat these babies as if like they're going to be ready for the real world. And God forbid you're an African-American mother who's by herself, living on one salary, no real parents or no really anybody to help her out or whatever. And that you want to join that cause and then say what? Because now you can go to Revlon and buy makeup. So that you can go get your face beat and you can say you're better looking than a girl. Like, I don't get it. Like, if I'm going to be gay, there got to be a reason why I'm gay. And it got to be more than just me liking another man. Like, if that's what it's going to be.
That's what it is.
I get it. But if that's what I'm
romantically and sexually attracted to.
Right. I get that. But what I'm saying is that, like, just like a man can be homosexual. I mean, he can be heterosexual and not have a marriage and not be engaged and live by themselves and be comfortable living by themselves, because it's more than just being romantically and sexually involved, or romantically or sexually lusting or loving another person who's the opposite sex.
Mm-hmm.
If my only reason is because I want another man in my bed, then you got to rethink that. If my daughter came to me right now and says the reason why I want to get married to him is because he has a lot of money, the first thing I'm going to tell her is get me some. And the second thing I'm going to tell her is that
Serious, y'all.
I'm dead serious. Go get me some. But that marriage ain't gonna last. If the only reason why you getting married is so that way you can live a life of you thinking you ain't gonna have to go do nothing because he got a lot of money, that money's gonna run out. And if it don't run out, his patience is gonna run out on you.
Mm-hmm.
If the only reason why you get married because some girl got some big breasts and a fat butt, let me tell you something. Let her turn 65 and still say the same thing. Because while her tits are hanging down to the ground, scratching her kneecaps, and her buns is looking all crazy and flabby, are you still going to lay in the bed next to her? Or are you going to look at her and be like, man, this ain't what I thought it was going to be?
I definitely think that people have that experience, that they genuinely want to be with that person. Because I'm pretty sure there are successful homosexual marriages out there.
Of course they are. And
quite a few partnerships that are strong. So I'm not debating whether or not what they have is real or sustainable. It's just, if we're having those conversations and that was thought out and some time and energy was put there, I think the same time, energy, and conversations need to be applied to all things.
I agree.
Gender identity. It's time. Absolutely. I want to continue to be kind to all humans, no matter what their choices and decisions are, because if you are someone of a religious Christian background, Christ, he hung out with everybody. He was not partial to any group of people. And I try to live my life in that way. I struggle with certain things because I'm human. But for the most part, I respect the person to be a person. And if you see it as sin, that's fine. That doesn't have to be the focus of your conversation with that person. If you focus on just being kind to them and just spreading a good word, and it doesn't have to be a good biblical word, it could just be a kind word. That might be the better direction too, but it's not my goal on here to debate someone's choices, someone's lifestyle. However, I think from a political standpoint, America has picked and chosen what they want to focus on, what they want to address. And we got babies getting killed at school. We have, what else did we talk about today? Women's rights that are still being debated, equal pay. We didn't get into that. Being debated, all these conversations that are being had, but law-abiding citizens, I've lived my life by the book all along, and I just feel personally attacked when you make decisions for my organs and not everybody's organs.
I agree.
That's just me.
Well, we're not gonna hold you. This is our first show, Carla. What you think?
I think this is a good one. We were all around the world and back, but it was good stuff. It was good stuff.
So I need you to tell the people one fun thing about you, so that way they know you, and then we're gonna end on that. How about that?
Ooh, something fun.
Make sure you let them know that you just keep it down in the comments over there.
You say keep it down in the comments over there?
We don't need nobody, trying to figure out, whether or not she's single or not and all this other stuff.
I'm single. I'm a single heterosexual female. I live in St. Petersburg, Florida. For anybody who wants
hold on, let me give me a talk.
I like to eat, y'all. Give me some good food. That's something fun about me. And I don't know, James. What else should I tell the people?
I think you're good right there. I think you're good right where you at.
I'm single.
All right, we got that part of it.
And I'm ready to mingle. Now, I'm patient. I'm waiting for the right person
at the right time in the right place. I'm not trying to have a meat market situation, but
And you have to clear me too, by the way.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you're gonna have to talk to James, and
I'm gonna let you know something. You know how people give these promises, like, you better treat my friend right, or else.
Let
me tell you something. I really mean the or else. That's the part you don't understand. You're saying no hyperbole. This is not gonna be me telling you that to get you scared. I'm letting you know now. You do anything that's unlike what I assume that she deserves to have, and I'm beating down the door.
Oh gosh.
And I know I look all smiley and cute, you know what I'm saying? I got my little light skin on or whatever. But she'll tell you.
He was like this long before he had them twins.
She'll tell you, I'm not the one to play with. Just don't do it. If you about that foolishness, you might as well just be like, yo, let me not even do it. And we don't even live in the same state.
No.
And we don't have to, because plane tickets are very easy to get.
Oh my goodness. Tell the people something fun about yourself, James.
Fun about me? I love video games.
You love Marvel.
Clearly,
your background is telling on you.
Yes, I love my comics. That's Michael Jordan right there. That's a Spider-Man. That's a Superman. Because I believe I'm all those things. I believe I'm the greatest player that ever played. I believe I'm extremely agile when I need to be. And I'm when I need to be, I'm the strongest thing you probably ever messed with. So don't do it.
All right. And he's married, ladies. He's married.
Yes, ladies. I'm married.
He's taken.
I don't have my ring on, but that's okay. I am married. I have, like I said, 4 children. And my 2 daughters are with my wife of going on almost 5 years. I can't even believe it.
Right.
Wait, is it true?
I don't know. I wasn't there. A conversation for another day, y'all.
She just set y'all up.
Oh, CJ,
She just set y'all up real good.
Ask us about that the next time we on.
Yeah, ask us about that. I think so, right? 18, 19, 20, 22. Holy smokes. 5 years, bro.
Bro. That's tough.
I can't even believe it lasted that long.
Oh my gosh. Shut up, please. This is the internet.
Anyway, let me get up out of here. Once again, this has been a great show. You know, Carla, man, you're the best. I love you so much. You're probably one of the greatest things that ever happened to me since.
You're welcome.
Since Candy. But that's our time. We want to thank you guys for coming on and watching us play around and talk. We got a lot more to come. We got a lot more other things to talk about. A lot of other things we want to do. We want to bring on more people. If you're interested, make sure, please, you like, share, and subscribe. Make sure you go ahead and tell people about it. When they get a chance to watch it, let me know that they watched it. Put whatever you need to put in the comments. Let us know that you're paying attention. We got other topics that we're going to be talking about. If there's a topic you want to address, we could talk about it. If there is a thing that you want to advertise, you got candles, you got perfume, you got body bath bombs, or you do suits, or you do socks, or whatever, and you want to get on the show and get 15, 20 minutes of some time, hit us up. Let us know. Leave it in the comments, a way we can contact you, and we can definitely put you on. That's my brand. Be kind. We want to thank you so much for being kind and watching our show, and we appreciate you. We love you guys. We hope that we can do this all over again.
Yes.
And we got to come up with a saying or something like that. I don't know.
Yes. CJ podcast out. I'm the corny one, so
that's gonna work. Let's do that. We out, y'all. I see y'all later.
Bye.